Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Tuesday night edition of... Oh.
Whoa! Whoa!
All right, Jody, now you can do it.
Sorry about that, everybody, but hello, and welcome to the Tuesday night edition of Ghost Chat Radio with the Paranormal Rebel, Jason Stanton in the house, and myself, the Paranormal Diva, Jody Smith. And tonight we have a terrific guest for you, my very good friend, David Reed Christine. And we're going to be talking to David this evening about his near-death experience and also about his theories regarding spirit travel between the third and fourth dimension as featured on an episode on the Sci-Fi Channel. So David is a fun guy to talk to, and we're super excited to have him here tonight. How you doing, David?
David's dead. This is just a spirit.
Hello.
Hello. How you guys doing? I'm doing fine, thanks. No, I'm doing good. Getting better all the time. And thank you for letting me come on board here to talk a little bit.
Well,
but it's not so much about me; it's about you guys.
No, tonight it's about you. It was about us last night.
Oh, it was.
Absolutely. We have to make.
Now, is that your boyfriend, Jody, and Ghost Chat Radio? Is that your boyfriend with the picture next to it?
That's my other boyfriend, yeah.
Oh, okay. All right, and then I noticed you're on top of me, smiling, so.
Yeah. God, oh, my God, I'm having a sandwich tonight, aren't I?
I think I will.
About the Catholic church, and it was nice getting to it. Talking about bending over and stuff, I was like, "Damn, Jody!"
Mm-hmm. You know, you got to get up.
Yeah. Poor guys.
You got to get up the black ruffle pants. It's going to be bending over in your Catholic girl skirt. You know.
She has a habit of giving a man a bone, but never does anything to help it.
Oh, David.
Wow, that's what your bumper sticker says.
It's true.
I give a man a bone, but I will not spice that shit.
Let me see. It has been a wicked, well, AKA Wicked Radio. It's just been a weird year. I'll never be the same as I once was, and that's expected. Long story short, I was going in for wrist surgery because I was playing football with my German Shepherd in the backyard, and there was a fumble. And guys know when there's a fumble, we both go for it. And he took my legs out from underneath me, and then my wrist, if you can imagine, my fingers went all the way backwards and touched my elbow.
Wow.
And, yeah, and it shattered. Well, there wasn't that much to put back together, so 13 operations later, they kept, I don't know, they weren't, it wasn't going well. So anyway, 13th operation later, I came out of it, and good thing I was still in the hospital. I was getting on a CAT scan table, and I couldn't breathe. My lungs locked up. The scariest feeling you'll ever have in your entire life, I thought, was a head of a ghost coming down a hallway. Just the head of a ghost, but no. It's when your lungs don't breathe, when they lock. And traditionally, human beings run around the table. I ran around the CAT scan table 3 times, fell down, and then passed out, and then woke up 3.5 months later from a coma.
Wow.
During that time, they just thought I had some pneumonia or something, and it kept getting worse. And on the 4th of July, this is of 2013, I went places I never went before. They gave me a 3% chance of living, which I didn't need the year, because then they're showing me all the videos when they're telling my family that. So that's a nice ingredient for post PTSD. Because now I had to see, and I start feeling bad because you're the guilty one. And I just went places that were very weird. I can't explain them. I don't think there's third-dimensional talk that, and if anyone knows what I do, I'm more of the science guy, which I don't know, we just blew off another medium because she couldn't connect with the science, but
tell us a little bit more about that, David. Everybody doesn't know. David has a long-time paranormal group over in Michigan. For those of you that don't know David, he's been a scientific researcher of the paranormal for a very, very long time, and definitely takes a very scientific approach to everything. Right,
yeah,
David?
it does, and there's a big need for mediums, but mediums, you don't know if they're real or not, and you just never know unless you can test them 3 or 4 times and bring them on places and see if they're right. Now, with me, it's pure science. Either it is or it isn't. But I think there's a thin veil between the 3rd and 4th dimension, and the 4th dimension has a whole different set of physics, if you will. They don't know time, space-time continuum. The future and the past exists all at once. They don't need to know time. And for us to ask our silly questions, the questioning is all in the remarkability of how you ask questions to spirit. That's half the time why they don't answer, because the question you're asking is so fucking stupid. They just don't take the time to answer. And I've got them to ask me questions. I've had them tell me they don't know time. I've had them tell me they've been to the light, they've come back, but they can't talk about it. They have told me there is a Jesus Christ. But getting back to the NDE, I loved it. There's parts of it come to me more and more as time goes on, because 5% of my brain was affected. And as Tracy used to say, that's the percent of the brain I never used. So, well, the funny thing about it is more is revealed to me, but I remember starting out in Arizona, Sedona, for some reason, with a family, and I don't know what we were doing out there. I have never tried peyote. When we were sitting around, I don't do drugs, and we were sitting around smoking peyote. So never having done that, I had to conjure up a feeling what it's going to feel like, because I didn't know. So I'm trying to make up feelings. So then I was whisked away to North Korea, where I know it was in World War II, and I was underneath a boat holding a little girl, trying to keep her away from the shrapnel that was being shot at us. And then from there, I went straight up so fast, but it was way too fast for me to comprehend. I think I would have went farther in the light, but my pulmonologist called an audible right away and said that we're going to hit this guy at prednisone. It's the only chance we got. So they shot me up with prednisone, and I come out of it.
A lot of it's good. A lot of prednisone's real good.
Yeah.
Oh, prednisone. That is I hate that stuff. That's nasty stuff. That just blows.
Well, all I know is that I'll tell you this: where I was is much better than here. There is you don't feel about your loved ones you left behind. I'm going to be plain and simple, people. At least for mine, you don't give a shit because it doesn't matter. Really? Where you're going, God's greatest plan is they're His. What do you mean they're your children? They're His. And that was the greatest lesson I know. He said, don't worry about your children. They're mine. So as time went on, it shot me back down, and I remember slugging, doctors and orderlies and stuff because I was so mad. See, Bear likes to hear the story too because he gets mad. He's barking. I started punching. I did not want to come back.
Wow. David, how long were you actually out when you had the near-death experience? How long did that last?
I think I went out, I don't know. I know I died on July 4th twice. I thought it was more than once. That's what I thought. It was 3 times that this happened to you. But it was, when you're out, I do believe you dream when you're in a coma. Because I can remember having other dreams, but nothing as significant as this. Because all fear, all hate, it just goes away.
Wow.
And I can honestly say everything you get down to string theory and alternate universes. I think that we all live in a state of consciousness in a million different directions, meaning that we have multiverses. You exist there, you exist there, you exist there. You exist in all these multiverses, and this is just one of them that you're conscious of. That's what I took away from my NDE.
There's a theory out now, scientists have been working with, that suggests the idea that while you're sleeping in your subconscious mind, you ping in and out of different dimensions. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think so. I think if you have any truly, first of all, I don't think you're where you're at. If you go truly to another dimension, I don't know. I know that the other dimensions, any of the physical attributes that I had on this planet, such as gravity, such as sex, such as things like, none of that matters. But when I dream, all that matters. So that's maybe a demarcation between the two that you'll know when you have it.
Awesome.
Wow.
Now,
and I'm mad today. There's times, I'm getting therapy. I can't tell you how many times I cried in therapy and said, I wish I died.
now,
wow, David.
With the light, did you feel yourself get brought back, or did you just wake up and it's like, oh shit?
I remember waking up. Yeah. I didn't have the true experience of you blast off, you see your body below you, then you go somewhere and you drift and you see all these people. I didn't see any of my family because my whole family hates each other. So I think they took a walk.
Hey, that's okay. Some families are like that. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, that's all right. But I did know that there was it wouldn't have mattered to me either way. But yeah, there are times when any of the worst feelings you can feel on this planet, like lack of love, fear, anger, and all those things, they just go away, and it's just wonderful. And I'm really not afraid of death anymore.
Excellent.
Jody, I've heard other people. Yeah, what?
Have you ever had an experience similar to that?
I have never had a near-death experience, although I will say that when I was giving birth to my daughter, and I just told her this recently after hearing about David's experience, she actually died 3 times on the way out when I was delivering her. And so I always wonder if any memory of that is ever going to come back to her. They resuscitated her. But I have done over the years quite a bit of experimentation with astral travel. And so when I hear people discuss the feelings that they've had in these near-death experiences or feelings that they've experienced in a coma, back to what David said about the floating sensation, I always wonder if it's anything at all like astral travel, which I've, sometimes been more successful with than other times, but that also, feels like it's such a dream state between the dimensions. David, when you were coming out of it, do you remember feeling, did you feel like that you were getting jerked back to reality at all? Like, was there any sensation?
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm going to say this for the record. Everyone on this planet who lives has had an NDE. And here's why. It's because I do believe we recycle. I've read books on little boys knowing the exact cockpit of a Corsair 480 and went to the exact place where it went down in World War II, knew his sister and went and called her by her nickname. How would a kid know all this?
So
how would a kid... What I'm saying is that he had an NDE because when we're born and coming back, that's part and parcel of the NDE process. Okay. You see, because Brian Kalak and I have been doing some work on backward NDEs and also when babies are born. A lot of the gibberish that we hear them, try to play some of that stuff backwards.
Like play it back or play it backwards?
Yeah, it's English. A lot of you can understand. Because they haven't modified themselves to the uniforms and the rituals of the world yet. They have their own speech. Because where I went, there was no speech. You just knew. So when they come back, they're trying to learn it, and they're coming out and they're babbling and stuff. But they do know it. But I think everyone's having everyone, all you guys on the radio right now, have died once before. And people like to call it reincarnation. I have an affinity toward the medieval age. I don't know why. I could go there tomorrow and love it. Other people have these wonderful lights of where they think they would like to be in the past. Everyone's got that. And I think it's programmed. So it's the spirit's always alive, and it's just going through the human experience now. Now, why God does that, I don't know. Maybe it's a physical learning process. I don't know. But an NDE truly is leaving and coming back. Well, you may leave for 20 years and then come back as someone else. But this true child that I read about, his NDE was just longer. Does that make sense?
It does. There was a television show on about a year or so ago where they were featuring children who had probably come back from past lives as well. I never really thought about it that way before. That I definitely do believe in past lives and reincarnation, and I've always been very interested in learning about that, and I feel that I've had several past lives for sure, but I never really thought about it as, could that be a near-death experience? I never identified it that way, so that's really interesting that you're saying
and
that.
that's the reason, because maybe I've had the luxury of going into the dimension where I was, where time doesn't matter. And time of 20 years here can be a blink of a second there. It's interesting because I caught an EVP one time that I asked, what do we look like to you? And I've always got the response, same as you were. And I started thinking, well, what the hell can that mean? Well, we're frames. We're like movie frames on the old Super 8s. Remember those when they goes across? Yeah.
Oh,
and
you're
by the
dating
time
yourself, David.
Well, by the time they look at us, they're looking at a frame past us, because that's how they can view us, as a motion of time. They can go anywhere, anytime they want, and in the time period they want to also. So, but then it brings up another new thing, is that I'll be damned if I'm going to be an earthbound spirit. That scares me.
Oh, that scares me too. I would not want to.
Did you notice some things that I've taught my team this? Did you ever go out on investigations and you always hear voices from 75 years ago, 100 years ago, 110 years ago? Why not 1,000 years ago? Why not 10,000 years ago? There has been 66,000 generations on this planet. Why don't we go back to them? Because I think there's a cutoff time.
You think?
Yeah.
This is the thing that we do know as researchers. Since the beginning of time, there's been a lot of dead motherfuckers.
Oh, my God.
And, for some odd reason, the evidence that is collected doesn't substantiate that percentage. And the big question that I've always wondered is why?
Because I believe that you have a certain time, and I've asked this question because I have a certain period to resolute, because the light will go away.
But
now, some of them hang here because they know their next step is directly to hell. The other ones that are afraid are being held here captive, and that's why we try to release them if we can. And the other ones, there's a time period of some, I don't know what that is. You never get them from 5,000 years ago.
Yeah.
I never have, yeah.
And if we didn't, we wouldn't understand the language anyway, but at least we'd know it was language.
Yeah. It's an interesting theory. Absolutely.
Yeah, because, I've been invited to go to 10,000-year burial grounds. I said, I won't go. I can never get anything out of them.
Yeah.
So I don't know what and that's the mystery of it all. That's the mystery of everything that God's wonderful universe does. It's just that I've been thinking, if you hadn't heard it, of getting out of the paranormal.
I have heard you mention that.
Yeah, and if spirits were as wonderful as people were, I'd be in it hook, line, and sinker. But I'll tell you, people are just. I wrote a small thing on mediums. I just, can't seem to get along with them because they're a beacon of light, and they seem to attract all the time. Spirits are probably all around them. It's probably not their fault. But when you get them, but when you're off campus and you get them in a normal setting, to me they act weird. And then they end up hating me. Every medium I've had, they hate me.
Oh.
I don't know why.
Now, I know that that's not necessarily true, David, because the last medium that you had, it seems like you had that one. So,
had what?
You had her.
All right, what are we talking about here? I just got to catch me up to speed.
David knows who I'm talking about. So they don't all hate you for sure. But David,
she hates me.
Well, now she hates me.
Yeah.
Off, whatever.
Hey, I wish it wasn't that way, and I'll be honest, that never happened.
But you shouldn't have called her fat. She wouldn't hate you so much.
Should I call her fat?
No, I wouldn't. Now she already hates you. And the thing is, you get groups together, and half of them don't go over the evidence, and they say they do. The other ones aren't available. It just can get. I don't know. I don't know if I need that kind of punishment anymore. I mean, I know what I know, and I've seen it. I've been doing it for, several years, and it's been a blast. But bringing new people on the team, I know that my new team, I was bringing on 3 new people, and I know the one. Hot girls too. I saw.
They were. Yeah, I work with. Yes. Well, it attracts, And my medium probably gave them some bad things about me, and then they just left. So, it's just, I don't want to play that game anymore. I really don't.
It sounds like you need to scrap your team and start over. But, I mean, I wouldn't let anything like that ever discourage me from the paranormal. And I'm surprised to hear you talking this way as how well I know you, and I know your passion for the paranormal. I think you're maybe just a little bit frustrated right now.
Well, maybe I'm frustrated. Maybe the time will go by. I would like to see it, pass and then, get back into it. But there's so many things that the client, we left this one client hanging, which I refused to do, and my medium was supposed to be back out there, and she never went. So I don't know. I feel like a babysitter all the time. And there's rifts between different people. I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I don't know.
It's hard running.
Yeah, well, maybe in time it'll change. Maybe in time it'll change.
I hope so. I can relate with you. You can get plenty of people. Everybody wants to join and everybody wants to do this, but no one really wants to do the work.
No one. That's exactly right. They love the hoots and hollers and Halloweens and the gags and I did a spoof Fourth Dimension radio show. I don't know. It's back in June sometime, I think. And I played scary music because people were telling me I wasn't coming on scary enough. Yeah. And I don't have to be scary. I just want to come out and talk about the facts, and here's what we caught, and what does it mean? Why is there a 7-second differential on an SP7 spirit box? When I ask a question, it takes 7 seconds to come back. Now, why is that? Is that the distance of the speed of light at 186,000 miles per second times 7, and then reverse that, and then that's the time it takes to get back? Or through quantum mechanics, is there no physical distance between us, but through the mystery of the veil between dimensions, does it take that long to push through? But most of them are 7 seconds. Why is that?
Personally, I don't like the SB7 spirit box, so I really can't. I wouldn't be the guy to answer that.
Yeah, it's been for me. Yeah, I've had some some really, really wonderful SB7. You got to go into remote areas and get down into a basement where there's really hardly any radio signals out there, and set it up and turn it on while you're setting up everything else. And when you don't hear a damn thing come across it, and then when you're ready to use it, you sit down, you say hi, and the damn thing comes back and says hello. Now you know someone's there.
Yeah.
Right.
It would be cool if you can completely eliminate any chances at all of getting radio frequencies. And yeah, you can do some things like clip the antenna wire and so forth and so on, but even then it's still kind of iffy.
It's iffy, but then what we do is slow it down, and then if it crosses more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bandwidths with the same word,
yeah,
you know how impossible that is? If it goes to 7 different radio stations and it says, I'm in the room with you, and it goes across 7 different FM channels, totally different channels, and that came across, what are the odds of that?
I would find that compelling for sure, and
it's real.
I don't have the SB7. In fact, I've been talking to a couple of different people, including Jason, over the past maybe month, because I really want to pick up a few new pieces of equipment that give me real-time spirit communication. And some people have very highly recommended the SB7 to me. But, you know, there is that issue that, you know, am I or am I not getting radio interference? And that bothers me. It really
Well, you got to record the session. You've got to record the session.
Of course.
And then when you can play it back in slow motion and hear a voice go across several frequencies, the odds are astronomical for that to happen.
Yeah.
And then when you ask an intelligent question, for example, I said, okay, I'm going to ask you a question, but I'm not going to ask you it now. It's in my brain. Answer me it. I said, David, because I was going to ask what my name was. And it came back and it knew.
Wow. No, I
Which
love that.
tells me they know the answers well before we. That's why. Well, look at it this way: where do thoughts come from?
Your mind.
Oh, that's nice.
Each of us
comes from your mind, right? But what part of your
mind?
mind? What part of your mind?
You
And what stimulates? What are you going to think of 5 seconds from now? None of us know what we're going to think unless we're actively doing a task.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
That's been
And you can never think 2 thoughts at once. So therefore, with that in mind, where do your thoughts come from? Can you pinpoint an area that says, aha, there's that piece of light where all my stuff comes? Well, of course it comes from our brain maybe, but what stimulates the brain? Electromagnetic fields.
There's a little bit of controversy on that. A lot of our thoughts are actually predetermined. Well, some people are saying that, and it's been controversy.
And that's truly with, and there is a part of that I truly believe. Predestination, I believe highly in predestination. I that eliminates all the crap you've been through in life. I'm supposed to go through it anyway.
I don't believe in predestination. I really don't.
That's
well,
okay.
It's actually kind of an interesting theory. There's been scientists there.
That's interesting.
They've studied this over